Hey guys, today we're taking a look at a wacky 80s sci-fi flick by the name of Weird Science. Enjoy.
She's alive!
Two teens named Gary and Wyatt are seen ogling the school's female gymnastics team. They stand there and enthusiastically discuss the fantasy of being popular and throwing an awesome party. These kids would both give their left nut for a chance with any one of these girls. Two hooligans pull up behind them, snickering as they overhear the dorky fantasies. They pull both Gary and Wyatt's pants down and scream,
Check us out!
prompting the entire female class to stare at the pantless pair. Gary is later seen back at Wyatt's house for a sleepover. He applies a copious amount of shaving cream and shaves away his lush facial hair. Wyatt mentions that his jerk older brother, Chet, is back home for the weekend to watch over them while his parents are gone. Gary is not pleased, but quickly gets over it as he sits down and enjoys some Frankenstein. Gary becomes so inspired by the movie that he decides, hey, why not? We could make ourselves a girl. Wyatt is immediately turned off by the idea of digging up a dead body. Gary assures him that they wouldn't be doing that at all. They could simply use Wyatt's high-tech 80s computer to simulate a girl, so they can talk to her and stuff. Fun. Wyatt gets to work, flexing his computer skills. Things are going swimmingly, but they realize they need more juice to really step up their creation. Wyatt casually hacks into the government and accesses their superior computer power. Now, this part is very important. They scan in pictures of hot women, Mozart, and Einstein. Naturally, all the ingredients you need to create the perfect woman. Now that everything's in the oven, it's time to bake. The boys prepare for their ceremony by chanting ancient mantras and wearing bras on their heads. They proceed to electrocute a dripped out little doll connected to their computer. Red clouds form outside their house and lightning strikes as all hell breaks loose. Things are flying around, dogs are on the ceiling, and the boys are in full panic. The doll has gone missing. Suddenly, their door begins to bend in and out as if taking a breath. It explodes into little pieces and a bombshell of a woman steps in.
She's alive!
All three of them have a celebratory group shower. The boys are tense. They get dressed up and head out to an eventful night. Apparently, she's also basically a genie, so she materializes a dapper fit for the boys. They hop in her newly summoned Porsche and the boys christen her Lisa. The group makes an awkward entrance at a bar, but Lisa conveniently creates some very convincing IDs for them. The bar patrons goad them into drinking, and it's not long before they're one of the boys, reminiscing over old love interests while puffing on cigars.
I was insane for this crazy little 8th grade
The group heads back home, with Wyatt taking the wheel. Pretty sure this is his first time driving, so it's a bumpy ride to say the least. They head home and are antagonized by Wyatt's older brother, Chet. He's the quintessential 80s bully character. Wyatt steps outside for some fresh air, and Lisa follows. They lock eyes and make out. The next morning, the boys conclude that the events of last night were merely a fantastical dream. And then, Lisa calls them down for breakfast. Wyatt whines to Lisa about Chet, and she tells him he needs to get over it.
It's seriously affecting your sex life.
Lisa walks off and Wyatt endures his daily bullying session from Chet. He remarks on Wyatt's odd choice of attire this morning, considering he's wearing women's panties. Chet is real upset about this.
For Christ's sakes, will you cover yourself?
Later at the mall, the boys buy some perfume for Lisa while she shops for lingerie.
If you were a 15-year-old boy, would these turn you on?
How thoughtful. They sit back, relax, and remark about how well things are going for them. Unfortunately, standing just above them are a couple of their bullies. They drop a load of slushies on them and then walk off, crossing paths with Lisa. She immediately catches their eye, and they follow her outside to make a move. They ask her what she's up to, and she tells them she's waiting for her ride. The two studs, Gary and Wyatt, pull up. Gary steps out of the car to greet her and proudly takes a smooch on the cheek as the two bullies watch on with envy. Before they drive off, Lisa lets them know that there's an upcoming party at Wyatt's house. They head home and Lisa prepares the house for the upcoming party. Wyatt is apprehensive, but Lisa reminds him that this is exactly what he's been fantasizing about. She leaves to pick up Gary and meets his parents. They comment on her mature appearance, but the silver-tongued Gary is quick to explain it away. You see, Dad, she's a foreign exchange student. They ask where they're headed, and Lisa bluntly reveals that they're throwing a party that will be full of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Gary's dad is furious, but Lisa stands her ground, warning him that she could kick his ass. She tells them that they need to let their son live a little. It isn't right that his only sexual outlet is wanking off. Gary's mother is heartbroken, but he adamantly defends that he has never, ever, in his life, beat his meat.
You told me you were combing your hair!
A screaming contest quickly breaks out between Gary and his mom, before his dad decides that they should call the police. Gary's mom hysterically dials the phone
I'm gonna get...
and passes it into his dad's trembling hands. Lisa pulls out a .44 Magnum and stares him down. He submits. Gary and Lisa head back to Wyatt's place. She shoots Gary in the car, revealing it to be a water gun. She also tells him that she wiped his parents' memories of the conflict.
Gary. Who's Gary?
Uh-oh. They arrive back. It's time to party. They open the door, and what appears to be their entire high school is outside. An absolute rager ensues as countless rowdy teenagers flood the house. Meanwhile, Gary and Wyatt hide in the bathroom. Their two bullies from earlier spot Lisa and chat her up while their girlfriends, Deb and Hilly, go upstairs to the bathroom. They run into the boys and go inside. Gary and Wyatt are incredibly awkward and totally fumble their opportunity. The girls go back downstairs, remarking that Gary and Wyatt are weird but cute. Lisa runs into them and asks where they've been and if they've seen Gary and Wyatt. They both give different answers. Lisa tells them that if she does run into them, they should definitely shower together because it's a mind-scrambling experience.
That's so good.
We cut to Wyatt's grandparents having a discussion over dinner. His grandmother reflects on the importance of being present in her teenage grandson's life, so they agree to check in on him after dinner. Meanwhile, the bullies are chatting with Gary and Wyatt. They're interested in Lisa and want to crack at her, offering up their girlfriends in exchange. The boys reveal the secret of Lisa's creation and attempt to make a new girl for them, one with especially prominent assets. The ritual is set to begin, and once again, all hell breaks loose as the rules of reality begin to bend. Things are flying everywhere, gravity is out the window, photos come to life, and a kid is even stuck inside the TV. Things get even spicier when powerful winds send a piano flying out the chimney. Those same winds threaten to do the same to a pretty girl who hangs on for dear life as her clothes begin to fly off. First, her skirt, then her shirt, and thank the heavens, her bra. She's flung out the chimney in nothing but her undies, landing safely in the water. Gary and Wyatt calmly wait for events to transpire while their bullies cower in fear behind the desk. The silhouette of a woman appears in front of them, but it's Lisa. She chastises them for showing off and reminds them that people will like them for who they are, not what they can do. Anyway, the ritual failed because the boys forgot to connect the wires to a doll. They were instead left resting on a magazine with a ballistic missile on its cover. Uh-oh. A nuclear warhead pops out from beneath the floor as Wyatt's grandparents make an untimely arrival. They're furious about the party. Lisa tells Wyatt his grandparents are here. Oh boy. By the time Gary and him come down, Lisa has already dealt with them, freezing them in time and stuffing them in a cupboard. Lisa remarks to their motionless bodies that the boys are lacking a bit of spirit. Lisa decides to shake things up to bolster Gary and Wyatt's confidence.
I'm so bloody clever.
Some kind of challenge that they can triumph over. She summons a gang of mutant bikers to terrorize the house. They ride in and around the house, leaving chaos in their wake. Wyatt is in despair over the motorcycles in his house, but Gary makes clear the full severity of the situation.
Wyatt, there are killer mutants in your house, okay?
Mutant bikers torment the guests while Gary and Wyatt hide. They weigh their options.
Look, we can deal with shame, okay? Death is a much deeper issue.
The mutants tear Wyatt through the wall, and Gary follows. They tease the boys before grabbing Deb and Hilly and holding them hostage. They start to kiss them, prompting the boys to man up and take a stand. Gary tells the head mutant and his stinky friends to kick it, or else. The mutant tries to point his shotgun at Gary, but he parries it and whips out the .44 Magnum from earlier. The mutants release the girls and run off, becoming rather polite in the process.
God bless you.
Gary commends himself and Wyatt for being heroes while haphazardly waving the gun around, causing everyone to duck. He tells Wyatt to relax, since it's just a water gun. Or not. The party dies down and Hildy is seen walking up to Wyatt. She asks him if he really wasn't afraid of those guys. He says no, he wasn't. An impressed Hilly asks him for a kiss. Wyatt hesitates, wondering about her boyfriend. Hilly says that everyone makes mistakes and flashes a smile. Meanwhile, Gary's upstairs seducing Deb, but she's a little insecure about Lisa. Gary tells her that while Lisa's everything he thought he ever wanted, if he could make her again, he'd make her like Deb. That line sealed the deal, and she moves in for a kiss. The next morning, Chet arrives home from duck hunting and is less than happy to see the state the house is in. Not only is everything in disarray, but there's a literal snowstorm in his room, not to mention the ballistic missile hanging around in Wyatt's. He rudely awakens both Gary and Wyatt, then berates the both of them. Lisa steps in to deal with Chet while the boys go off to drive their new girlfriends home. Gary races past cops and his amnesiac father
That was Gary.
Who is this Gary character?
before catching another little makeout sesh with Deb. Things go much the same for Wyatt, and he declares his love for Hilly while standing between two active sprinklers. What a goofball. Back at home, Lisa has transformed Chet into a little troll creature and demands he starts treating Gary and Wyatt with respect, or else she won't turn him back. He agrees. The boys return home and reveal to Lisa that they have new girlfriends. Lisa tearfully tells them that that's all she ever wanted, and she's so proud of them. Sadly, Lisa has to go now, but promises that everything will return to normal. She vanishes, and everything starts reversing to the way it once was. Wyatt's parents return home, and the boys greet them as if nothing happened, but beneath the surface, they became men. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you have any movie suggestions or criticisms, please leave them in the comments below.